The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Ideals of Womanhood, a news report published by the Brooklyn Standard Union on Swami Vivekananda's lecture tours in USA in 1895. Swami Vivekananda, after being presented to the audience by Dr. James, president of the Ethical Association, said in part, "The product of the slums of any nation cannot be the criterion of our judgment of that nation. One may collect the rotten worm-eaten apples under every apple tree in the world and write a book about each one of them and still know nothing about the beauty and the possibilities of the apple tree. Only in the highest and the best can we judge a nation. The fallen are a race by themselves. Thus it is not only proper but just and right to judge a custom by its best, by its ideal. The ideal of womanhood centers in the Aryan race of India, the most ancient in the world history. In that race, men and women were priests, Sahdharmani or co-religionists as the Vedas called them. There, every family had its hearth or altar on which, at the time of the wedding, the marriage fire was kindled, which was kept alive until either spouse died, when the funeral pyre was lighted from its spark. There, man and wife together offered their sacrifices. And this idea was carried so far that a man could not even pray alone, because it was held that he was only half a being. For that reason, no unmarried man could become a priest. The same held true in ancient Rome and Greece. But with the advent of a distinct and separate priest class, the co-priesthood of the woman in all these nations stepped back. First, it was the Assyrian race, coming of Semitic blood, which proclaimed the doctrine that girls have no voice and no right even when married. The Persians drank deep of this Babylonian idea, and by them it was carried to Rome and to Greece, and every woman degenerated. Another cause was instrumental in bringing this about, the change in the system of marriage. The earliest system was a matriarchal one, that is, one in which the mother was the center, and in which the girls acceded to her station. This led to a curious system of polyandrous, where 5 and 6 brothers often married one wife. Even the Vedas contain a trace of it in the provision that when a man died without leaving any children, his widow was permitted to live with another man until she became a mother. But the children she bore did not belong to their father, but to her dead husband. In later years, the widow was allowed to marry again, which the modern idea forbids her to do. But side by side with these experiences, a very intense idea of personal purity sprang up in the nation. On every page, the Vedas preach personal purity. The laws in this respect were extremely strict. Every boy and girl was sent to the university, where they studied until their 20th or 30th year. There, the least impurity was punished with cruelty. This idea of personal purity had imprinted itself deeply into the very heart of the race, amounting almost to a mania. The most conspicuous example of it is to be found in the capture of Chittor by the Mohammedans. The men defended the town against the tremendous odds, and when the women saw that defeat was inevitable, they lit a monstrous fire on the marketplace. And when the enemy broke down the gates, 74,500 women jumped on the huge funeral pyre and perished in the flames. This noble example has been handed down in India to the present time, when every letter bears the word 74,500, which means that anyone who unlawfully reads the letter thereby becomes guilty of a crime similar to the one which drove those noble women of Chittor to their death. The next period was that of the monks. It came with the advent of Buddhism, which taught that not only the monks could reach the nirvana, something similar to the Christian heaven. The result was that all India became one huge monastery. There was but one object, one battle to remain pure. All the blame was cast unto women, and even the proverbs warned against them. What is the gate to hell was one of them, to which the answer was woman. Another read, what is the chain that binds us all to dust? Woman. Another one, who is the blindest of the blind? He who is deceived by woman. The same idea is to be found in the cloisters of the West. The development of all monasticism always meant the degeneration of women. But eventually another idea of womanhood arose. In the West it found its ideal in the wife, in India in the mother. But do not think that priests were altogether responsible for this change. I know they always lay claim to everything in the world. And I say this although I am myself a priest. I bend my knees to every prophet in every religion and clime, but candor compels me to say that here in the West the development of the woman was brought about by men like John Stuart Mill and the revolutionary French philosophers. Religion has done something, no doubt, but not all. Why in Asia Minor Christian bishops to this day keep a harem? Wife in India is a mother. But do not think the priests were always responsible for the change. I know they always lay claim to everything in this world, and I say that although I myself am a priest, I bend my knees to every prophet in every religion. The Christian ideal is that which is found in the Anglo-Saxon race. The Mohammedan woman differs vastly from her Western sisters in so far as her social and intellectual development is not so pronounced. But do not on that account think that the Mohammedan woman is unhappy, because it is not so. In India, woman has enjoyed property rights since thousands of years. Here a man may disinherit his wife. In India, the whole estate of the deceased husband must go to the wife. Personal property, absolutely. Real property for life. In India, the mother is the center of the family and our highest ideal. She is to us the representative of God, as God is the mother of the universe. It was a female sage who first found the unity of God and laid down this doctrine in the first hymns of the Vedas. Our God is both personal and absolute. The absolute is male, the personal female. And thus it comes that we now say the first manifestation of God is the hand that rocks the cradle. He is of the Aryan race who is born through prayer, and he is a non-Aryan who is born through sensuality. This doctrine of prenatal influence is now slowly being recognized, and science as well as religion calls out, keep yourself holy and pure. So deeply has this been recognized in India that there we speak of adultery in marriage, except when marriage is consummated in prayer. And I and every good Hindu believe that my mother was pure and holy, and hence I owe her everything that I am. That is the secret of the race, chastity.